Hey guys, welcome back. We got some updates. We got some information that was posted in a weird way. It's weird that we're getting answers on the x.com and not some sort of official statement, apology, clearing of the air from the company itself, from PSA. What is going on here? If you missed it, we have someone that submit 30 cards. They expected 10s, but they got 9s on every single one of them. What happened here? Did the low-wage grader, did he just press the 9 over and over again to make a shift a little bit easier? Who knows? Maybe he just likes the number 9. I don't really know. So 30 cards submitted. Expected something like 12 gems, 12 10s. Got all 9s. Posted this on here on the x.com. That was Preston. Covered it more in detail here if you want to watch that video first. But if not, we're going to go through what happened exactly. So he sold some of these cards through the PSA Buyback program. And all of a sudden, after he did so, when he did so, they were 9s. And he got paid out on a fraction of the 9 value. Sweet, right? Not so sweet, because whoop-de-doo, they turned into 10s all of a sudden. 11 of the cards turned into 10s. How does that even happen? So did his original complaint, is that what resulted in PSA taking a look back at the cards themselves, but then he also sold at the same time? It's looking like incompetence. It's looking like a system that was not prepared for what could potentially happen here, and I heavily doubt that this has not happened to someone else before, and they just didn't notice. I mean, it's possible. Did PSA go back and check everything to make sure it didn't happen to anyone else? Do they have the ability to do so in a timely manner? Your guess is as good as mine. It'd be cool if they let us know. We got Preston here with an update. He says, okay, so laughy, sweaty emoji. I have been contacted directly, and this situation has been quickly and amicably resolved. Prayer hands emoji. This is a confirmed one-off situation. Don't know if it is or not. My grades were manually reviewed after my original post reached PSA. And the time and effort that it's going to take you, someone that's using these services, that sold through the PSA buyback program that isn't actually PSA buying, but they're not going to tell you who it is, even though it's probably the majority of it, I assume, is GameStop. Maybe they're making room for other people. Maybe other people are actually buying the cards. Your guess is as good as mine, because PSA is going to buy them back and not tell you who they're going to. Very transparent. The sales of the PSA 10 will be reversed and returned back to me. So, happy ending for this customer. Wild that it had to go through social media posts in order to make it happen, and in order for potential changes to happen on something that should have been ready. Should have been just, how is that not taken into consideration? We have people saying, Nat, you had to be more transparent on grading. While you may be enjoying the market share now, it won't last forever. So this is in reference to who is buying our cards. Who's buying them? Who's buying through the PSA? If you want to put somebody else's name on it, if you want to deflect and say, oh, it's not PSA. PSA is not buying the cards. We're just brokering the cards. Show us who they're going to. Show us who's making the offer. Make them compete on offers. GameStop can offer this. Jimmy John Secret Decret, he can offer a little bit more maybe. That'd be cool. That'd be good for the collectors, right? All these companies, they'll say, oh, we're doing what's best for collectors. If you need the payout, if you want the payout right away, you can get the payout right away. And a lot of it sadly is going into the gambling system that has been developed by PSA and GameStop. That is an absolute ripoff, in my opinion. So they're going to, and it's going to be the worst. We've touched on it before. It's going to be the worst of the worst stuff that people grade. It's going to be like 10s that don't deserve 10s. And you won't be able to see the card until you open the mystery pack, until you pull the lever on the joystick. It's not a gambling device. It's an arcade machine where you're gambling. Yes, we're moving towards that. We launched grader notes within the past year for higher service levels and have a lot more in the works. So congratulations. If you want transparency, you got to pay to play. Why? We've seen this with CGC, where people were not able to get the highest grades because they were not paying the extra cost of subgrades. What the hell? There should not be like different standards depending on. The grading standards should be the same across the board for every card. Doesn't matter if it's a $3 card If someone's paying $20 for their submission, if it's Super Express Plus, and then there's an upcharge on it. If anyone should be making it right, the company that's charging a ridiculous amount based on the value of the card after it's graded should be able to fix things. Even the first edition Charizard. I forgot to put that in here, but reminder that there is one that is severely trimmed off the bottom. Submit by fraudsters. Sports card fraudsters that were dabbling in the Pokemon game that lopped off the bottom of a Charizard and one side is not even as long as the other. Crazy. But that's an expensive one. You can't fix that. All right. Orders or certain cards, says Nat, from certain orders are occasionally reviewed for quality purposes with adjustments made if it was determined an error was made in the grading process or otherwise. This order was still at PSA and hadn't been shipped yet, making it eligible to be reviewed. Okay, if it's still eligible to be reviewed, it should not be eligible to be purchased by a third party. Or by the PSA buyback, brokered by PSA. That's it. How is this not a thing from the very beginning? How is it that you can't... It needs to be locked in. How many QA checks are there? How many QA checks are there? How many people have touched the cards and seen the cards and said like, oh man, this order is 30 cards submit. It's all 9s. The person slabbing them, the QA checks, none of them were like, oh, I think something went wrong here. Flag the order. Go back and fix it before the person ever sees the grades, before the person is eligible to sell the card. Fix it first. And it could be that this all stemmed from the original post, like, what the hell? I got 39s. How did I get 39s? All on the same card, expecting 10s. Expecting double-digit 10s. For example, occasionally PSA card unfortunately misses a counterfeit card and it gets through the process and we're alerted to it and we'll review it and deactivate the cert even though we already graded it or a card had its grade swapped with another card in the same order and the labels need to be fixed. I mean, there's already some that are on the GameStop platform. So this can be used to the detriment of PSA or the benefit of whoever's buying them, which is probably mostly GameStop. Again, not transparent, can't tell. Surprise. Or in this case, a few cards in an order received lower grades than the cards warranted initially. Not a few cards. It was 11 of them that got upgraded from what I'm seeing. A few of them were sold, so maybe that's what he's referencing there, and were adjusted after being reviewed, re-reviewed. Mistakes can happen, though they're rare on a percentage basis. And it's just like, why is Nat Turner posting this? And not just like the amount of absolute confusion and nonsense that was going on based on this issue, this mistake, this lack of competence. Just make a statement. Why do these grading companies, they just make it worse on themselves by not just coming out, being transparent and saying like, here was the mistake that we made. We're going back. We're going to check every single order. We're going to cross-reference everything that ever had to be adjusted to make sure that no one... You don't even have to check. You can check if you want to. You probably should. It's going to be a pain in the ass if you submit a ton of cards and you have to go back and check that. Because if there's no system in place to notify you that, hey, a change had to be made, what would you like to do? We're going to resolve it for you. The issue was the system was unaware of the person/submitter had also accepted offers. Grading and our offers network platform are two different systems. Shouldn't be, or they should be linked together so that this is automated. Should have been foreseen in the very beginning, whether you're treating it as it was misgraded, if it was altered, it had to be deactivated or anything of that sort. Like it, how is this not thought through before it ever went live and people are able to sell their cards? So those accepted offers will simply be reversed and refunded. Here he says, I should mention we'll be making updates to our systems so that any cards that have had offers accepted on them, but then something changes before the order ships, either a grade changes up or down, a cert is deactivated, etc., the relevant offers will be automatically reversed. Yeah, it should be. Or it should at least be like, put a halt on it. Contact the customer immediately. They've already probably been waiting way too long to receive their order. Make sure it's a priority. If you screw up, fix it. Fix it as fast as possible. That's it. End of story. All right, we have the old people speculating, people talking about it. And Nat says, guys, it's a network of third-party buyers, not PSA, buying cards via the PSA offers program. It's described here. That's great. So he goes on. We got the Nat Turner statements. Now, there's a tracker. Make sure the tracker is all the way complete. If you want to do more QA checks, you say you have multiple here. How was that not caught beforehand? What are the QA checks doing? Show us what the QA checks do. All these companies claim to have QA checks, but there's cards that end up like upside down in the case. I kind of doubt that it even exists. Or if it does exist, where are you not paying people enough? Are you not paying people to be competent in what they're doing? They can't tell a card is upside down. They can't verify the language is wrong. Even if you don't speak the language, you can figure out the language pretty quickly. So the egregious mistakes that happen, I have a hard time believing that QA checks are even a thing and that it's not just smoke. So not like after it's graded, it goes to somebody that slabs it. They slab it upside down, and then there's multiple QA checks. There's at least 3 people should notice that a card is upside down in the case. Not saying they're all experts. Maybe the people that know half a thing about a thing are the ones that are grading in general, and they're going to make mistakes. But like how many people can make a mistake? How many people don't say like, hey, wait a minute, 30 card submission, and they're all 9s, all the same card? Should we flag this one? Maybe a supervisor. Get a supervisor over here. Now we have Jeff Wilson, the clownest of all clowns, in my opinion, in the sports card world, saying, do you really believe that $1 billion company PSA would endanger their whole business by skimming a few bucks by changing grades on cheap Pokemon cards they bought back? No way, I don't buy it. That juice wouldn't be worth the squeeze. So again, can you guys guess where this is going? We got Jeff Wilson defending PSA. Here he says, I think this guy described what happened correctly. And High-End Case Break says, what likely happened is that during the process of reviewing the grade accuracy of the order, the customer accepted the buy it now offers as PSA 9s during that same window. Some grades got bumped during that time. PSA didn't do anything wrong, and if anything was doing the customer a solid by having his order given a second look. Was it only because he posted it on social media, though? We're not super clear on the details. For the record, when I disagree with grades, I use their review service for my customers, and I've had bumps in grades. It's rare, but it can happen. Yeah, usually, even on stuff that, like, if it's something expensive and it's got a 10 and it clearly should not be a 10, they're going to be like, oh, the lead grader, he said that, yeah, it's a 10. Because they don't want to pay out the difference. Even though they take your fees, they're going to take those up charges. Nat says, yep, that's exactly what happened. So it's incompetence, and it's a system that was not ready for people to trust and use, is what I'm gathering from it. We have people saying I've submitted over 2,000 cards, never had this happen, never had something get upgraded. Well, maybe you didn't make enough stink on x.com about how your 30 card submission that was expecting 10s got every single one of them got a 9. Now, the Jeff Wilson stuff, oh my God, you can't make this shit up. And it's not the first time. We'll take a look at another example. But Big Bob's Cards here points out Jeff Wilson coming out and saying you're an idiot if you believe PSA is being shady, only for PSA to announce a partnership with him less than 24 hours later has to be the funniest shit I've seen on here in a long time. So be careful who's pushing you, who's pumping, who's protecting. Jeff is, man, he loves to protect the companies that make him money. We got Jeff Wilson here. What do you think he's going to reveal? What do you think? PSA cards at Cards HQ, Jeff Wilson's card shop, with the let's go in true whatnot fashion, which leads us in total game changer. You could submit your cards here. Do not submit your cards through a dealer. Approved dealer. We're going to take a look at how reliable approved dealers can be. We've seen it on the channel before where they're leaking your personal information and then covering it up, which is against the law, especially over in the European countries. But you're adding a point of failure. Jeff can fail. Jeff's employees can fail. Instead of you just submitting the cards yourself, you're adding an extra point. GameStop, do not submit through GameStop. What are you thinking? The GameStop employee can lose it. The GameStop employee can steal it. The GameStop employee can damage the card. And no, most of them are not going to do that. But you're adding an extra point of failure. It can already get lost in the mail. It can already be damaged by PSA or whatever grading company you're sending to. Lost in the mail both ways. Bad things can happen. Reduce the amount of steps along the way in order to. And if you do not know how, or you do not have the time and effort to, very simple, to be able to submit your own cards, you should not be grading. Period. Shouldn't have to grade in general. You don't have to. Don't feel like you need to grade. Grading during the pandemic boom, grading during the current boom is not a good idea if you're keeping the cards. And if you are selling them, you got to bank on the fact that you're going to get them back quick enough. And the turnaround times are crazy and way longer than they should be and way longer than they advertise. So you're banking on getting those back and selling them off as quick as possible before the price crashes on a lot of that stuff. If you're grading for your own personal reasons, make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure if you're new to grading that you know that the card is going to be worth more money and it's going to be worth more money by the time you get it back and it's your intention to sell. If not, you're better off spending that money on more cards for your collection. If you're buying graded cards, make sure the grade matches the actual card itself. Buy the card, not the grade, even if you want a certain grade on it. So here we have Neo Cards and Comics saying this is a good idea. We got people saying that the PSI offer should just show who it is, who's buying the card. If it's not PSA buying the card, if they don't want the flag for buying the card, they don't want the flag for making the offer, name the entity that is making the offer on the card. This should have been something from the very beginning. It's probably going to say GameStop the vast majority of the time. Why do we have to hide who's buying the card if PSA doesn't want to take credit for buying the card? And the whole thing with like PSA just dabbling in just more and more sectors of the market is not good for the collectors. It's a weird, like there's a weird amount of like, oh, let's add a little bit more conflict of interest along the way. So Nat says it's a good idea. So we have, again, we got X posts that are product development, system development for PSA. Not something that was forethought or anything like that. We have Dan the Card Man. If you're not following, if you're not watching him on the YouTube, you should be. Even if you're in Pokemon, it's important. There's a ton that crosses over from Pokemon to sports and vice versa. A lot of the fraudsters that were in the old sports game dabbled into Pokemon, as with the Charizard that I mentioned. Dan says it's embarrassing that a man on Twitter has to be the one to flag being transparent about buyers will help with concerns about conflicts of interest. The leading authenticator in this industry didn't think it was important enough before launch. Common sense isn't common. Completely agree. 100%. All right, let's trash on Jeff a little bit more here. You guys remember the Whatnot announcement? Can you guess? Are Jeff's mystery products going to be eligible for Whatnot?
Breaking news, Whatnot is now requiring repack certification, and it is causing a huge shakeup today with breakers. Now, back in July, when Cards HQ introduced Graded Grails, the world's first PSA certified repack, I said that I hoped it would set a new standard for the industry and that third-party repack certification would eventually become the norm. Well, here we are. Today, Whatnot announced that effective November 3rd, all sellers on their platform can only sell approved repacks that are audited and have public checklists. I am thrilled by this news. This will clear up a sketchy part of the hobby to make it more fair, transparent, and honest for all collectors. And I'm very proud of my team for setting the new standard that is now becoming the...
All right, Jeff, we get it. What do we have here? Collect Charles says, surprise, surprise, Graded Grails is exempt. Reminder for anyone, Whatnot is not doing what's in your best interest. They might claim that they don't even, to my knowledge, from my experience, from what I've seen, even the Coop Collect stuff, they made an account and started selling again. The people that scam Coop, they just made a new account, got on, started selling after getting banned. The vetting process basically doesn't exist. People will just scam you and make a new account. What are we thinking here? Not to mention the fact that we have Whatnot, who banned somebody for scamming on their platform, and that same person produced mystery products that were allowed to be sold by others on the Whatnot platform. Like, no. Jeff likes this. Why does Jeff like this? He wants his shit to be sold on there. It's fine if he's in. It's fine if he's going to set up his PSA booth. Then we have some examples here. We have Bleacher Bum Cards, who is halting PSA submissions. Keep it consistent, says Auburn 35. This is an authorized PSA card dealer taking a stand. They're also having a different issue with authentication inconsistency. Min size isn't a subjective opinion. I know we've seen that, and we've even seen from Beckett with the subgrades that will change on the size of the card, or the centering of the card, rather. Crazy. Or we're not measuring, so. We have Auburn with another post here. You guys can pause it and read it or check out the tweet. But most importantly here, we have some weirdness going on with grades being changed. We had resubmitted 52 of the 99 cards that previously graded a 9 or below received a full grade bump, with 0 cards in the order coming back a lower grade. Ryan had a hand in this, offering to have the submission regraded by what he referred to a senior member of the grading team. I have no idea if a senior grader truly did a blind reassessment of the cards or the cards were arbitrarily bumped to appease me, but the results of the order were shockingly different than the first order. And then he couldn't get a response in terms of clarification on what happened. This is a post by 88 Horsepower on the Blowout forums. They got some good lists on there. All right, we got more juice to come. Don't go anywhere. But before we get to that, we have the link tree if you want to support the channel here. I am not going to buy back your cards. I'm not going to GameStop make you pull any levers or anything of the sort. I'd advise you to stay away from that. The free ways to support me are the best ways to support me. Thank you for everyone that does. PSA Pikachu, we got Secura's Card Shop, Card Market. Couple options here if you're shopping in Japan. Save some money. Pick the one that's best for you depending on what you're buying on your first order. We got Collector app for tracking your collection. We got a bunch of discount codes, save some money while supporting the channel, and affiliate links up the absolute buns. Click it before you shop. Appreciated when you do. Thank you everyone that has been doing that. That's why everything will be free, always will be free. No paywall. Screw that shit. No sketchy. I don't have to go take some sponsors and defend PSA for the absolute mess that has been this 9 to 10 scandal. I don't have to tell you that Whatnot is gonna be good now because the repacks they're better. They're better now. Don't buy repacks. Fuck repacks. Do not do it. Nothing. Don't do it. Many of them are scams, but also they're just never good value. If it's repacked, if it's mystery, it's stuff that people are trying to unload. They're trying to make extra money by adding gambling on top of it. Much like the online gambling crap that you should stay away from. If you want to open some cards, yes, you should trust the Pokemon Company to package those cards and be more honest and transparent and everything about it than the repackaged versions of that. Cool. All right, Card Market. Buy singles. Buy singles. Buy raw singles. If you're in the European regions, you can purchase on there directly. If you're not, you should have a friend over there. Make one. And if you want the regional variant stuff, you can grab that. Be careful with the singles. There's a lot manipulated. A lot of the brand new stuff has started to come down in price. Don't chase after the thing that everyone's chasing after. If it has a giant spike in price, it is likely to retrace. Be careful out there. All right. Now, we have some updated news. We have Tiffany Cards that had this post. I covered this previously in a video. They say, not a good look for PSA card to allow PSA authorized stores to be selling card altering kits. And this is another just kind of entry into or lead into or arm into or branch into the PSA authorized dealers. Do not trust somebody that's just a PSA authorized. You should not be using any service that is helping you grade your cards. Whether it's GameStop, whether it's PSA authorized, be careful. So they're selling Kurt's Card Care, which is card altering substances. If you polish a card, it's altered. If you sell it without disclosing that, you're committing fraud. Tough shit. You're removing part of the surface to make the scratch less apparent. So we have Nat Turner here. Again, we have PSA is not going to say something about this. We have Nat Turner who's going to post, we're going to take action on the particular dealer. Why are you not watching over? If you do not want to make your own submission centers and you're going to rely on game stores, you're going to rely on Joe Schmo Alamos to take the submissions for you because you can't be bothered to just make an actual PSA warehouse submission center in other countries. You have to be watching over them. Did you not look in the store to make sure they weren't altering cards? And what's going to be done? Like, how many cards were they altering that they submitted? Were they offering it as a service? Why were you not keeping an eye on this? Are they going to go back and deactivate and check all the certs to make sure that the altered cards weren't graded by PSA? Probably not. That's too much work. Neo Cards and Comics says, PSA, we keep screwing up. Customers are looking for somewhere to turn. CGC, let's raise prices. And this is a little tie-in, little ender off for you guys. Be careful. The pandemic was notorious for this. It was like, oh, PSA takes too long to turnaround time. Oh, I'm going to grade with this company because I think they're going to be the best company in the future. Why grade if it's for your personal collection? If you're not selling it right away, if you're selling it right away, why are you not going with the option that is going to produce the most money? But if you're not selling it right away and you're keeping it, why are you going to? You're betting on the fact that the card is potentially going to go up over time, but also you're betting on that the grading company is still going to be around and that they're going to be the best option later, when you can just wait for them to be the best option and grade them then. Crazy. And then if you need a little comparison here, can we shrink this down? There we go. We have the pristine Gengar, which is supposedly a whole lot less. Be careful with comps, but again, the odds of you getting a pristine, pretty low. Be careful. Increase prices, increase turnaround times. Do not rush into grading if you're new. Do not rush into grading if you think you just need to get it done. If you think it's going to protect your cards, it's not. You can put it in a PSA case. There's an example from E4 years ago where someone had a closet outside of a bathroom and the moisture from the bathroom absolutely destroyed all of the cards that were graded, encapsulated by PSA. It does not protect them from light. It does not protect them from moisture. You would have been better off making the storage conditions more optimal, airflow, humidity controlled. If it applies in your area, put them in a binder. The binder is not going to hurt them. Use the ringless binders if you're worried about pinching the pages, if you're not careful with the ringed binders. Ton of people that were originally grading and collecting graded cards have moved to just collecting raw. They sold off their graded cards. They got too expensive. They got too crazy. The amount of value that people put into like just the number on the slab itself is insane. Especially when oftentimes it doesn't deserve the grade because it's rushed through. It's 30 seconds with somebody that should know less than you if you're collecting cards that are that expensive. You be the expert. You make the decision. If you want to grade, you grade. If you want to buy graded, you buy graded. And even if you want to buy graded, if you can find a PSA 8, a PSA 9 of a card that's selling at auction and it's less than a near mint copy, buy that one. Even if you want it raw, crack it out. That's what I do. Nothing wrong with that. Right, Auburn says another new grading company with a genius idea. Why limit yourself to a 10 when there's a pristine 11? I'm surprised we haven't seen more of this. For anyone that wasn't around during the pandemic, XYZ, LMNOP grading, everyone and their dog was starting a grading company because they could cash in. PSA shut down. PSA's turnaround times were long. Everyone was like, oh, I need slabs. I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing. I need slabs. And then they went and graded with all the random pop-up grading companies, whether they're half established, half-ass, whatever it might be. You do not need to grade your cards. And if you don't know whether you should be grading your cards or not, you shouldn't. You need to do more learning before you do that. Be very careful extreme noob trap. I mean, grading in general right now, if you don't plan on selling it and you don't have a plan to get them back and sell them right away, and you don't have like the foresight and that you want to take the risk involved with like, is this card going to crash? It's brand new. It's going to crash before. Look at Mickey D. Pikachu from Japan. You sent that in for grading. You were hoping you were going to get a 10. There's a jillion million 10s. I can't remember the exact number, but just an insane amount of 10s because print quality was on point. There's one in every pack. So fundamentals, guys. Learn the fundamentals. Be careful. Make more good decisions than bad decisions. And currently, grading your cards is a bad decision if you plan on keeping them. And you need to calculate the risk involved if you're planning on sending it in and selling it. Thanks for tuning in. Be careful out there. See you next time. Join the Discord if you want to get some restocks. Don't buy from the rip and ships, especially not on Whatnot. It is filled with scammers, as we've seen. Buy your own cards, open your own cards if you want company while you do it, because you're missing that sense of the C word. Not saying it. Then you can join the happy hour chats in my Discord on Saturdays. Point your webcam at the desk, open the cards, and we'll cheer you on when you get something good. Reminder, not good value to open Pokemon cards in general, but if you enjoy it, do so responsibly to some extent. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.